Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to Jay Speak. This week we cover questions. Well, it's one question, but it was a good question, so I thought I would just devote the entire episode to that question. First question. Can you trust YouTube demos? Yes. I think it depends who you're watching, right? So I had a question about it, and I actually talked to my brother-in-law about it too, because I thought it was kind of interesting. But can you actually trust who you're watching on YouTube? I think it's a mixed response. I think yes and no. So what is a reason to trust or mistrust somebody? I think when settings aren't shared, if post or pre-EQ is occurring, I think that could be a reason to mistrust it. I mean, YouTube also will compress the video, so there's more compression happening than what would normally happen, I would say. But, you know, if someone's not sharing settings or being honest and they're clearly hitting a pedal, but they're not telling you what they're doing, I think that's a cause for concern. There are plenty of paid reviewers out there. I'm not one of them. Anything I do is because I purchased the gear myself or I borrowed it from a friend and then it goes back to my friend. You know, I don't like buy stuff, try it, and then return it. I'm not one of those. I mean, I will buy stuff specifically for the channel. I'll use it, I'll play it, and then I'll sell it. And I'll usually disclose to the buyer that, you know, it's used, but it generally, most of the gear stays here if I'm selling it, because usually stuff I would gig with or play out with, I don't sell. Like, that's stuff I go make music with, right? There's tons of paid reviewers out there, and they're supposed to disclose on YouTube if they're being paid. So if Walrus Audio is, you know, providing a pedal or something, and their agreement is, hey, you make this video, you can keep the pedal, or we'll give you $100 to make the video, or whatever the case is, they should disclose that, right? Because that's at least being honest and saying, like, hey, I reached out to them, they reached out to me, they're paying me to do this, I am performing a job. Whereas there's plenty of YouTubers out there like myself that are self-funded. I mean, you get an income off of the videos that are watched, but other than that, I mean, no one's paying me to do these videos. Orange doesn't hire me, Mesa doesn't hire me, and, you know, at this point, why would they? You know, I think if people are honest and they tell you that, like, look, I'm getting paid for this, or I'm not getting paid for this, and they share settings and they kind of walk you through their process, I think it's absolutely trustworthy. You know, there's something to be said about, you know, the player themselves. I mean, like, I'm not the most technically proficient player. I never claimed to be, but there are certain individuals that do YouTube demos that are amazing players that kind of make anything sound good. I don't think that's untrustworthy. I do think that you have to take that with a grain of salt, because you kind of give anything to Pete Thorne and it's going to be amazing. And that's just the way it is. You know, give me the same gear. I'm not going to sound like that. Because of all the pros and the amateurs on YouTube, I think you can get a good mix of what stuff does actually sound like in person, or if you will like it. I mean, bright is bright, dark is dark. I mean, that can eliminate a ton of variables right off the bat. If you know that, like, hey, they're using a V30, it's close mic'd, it's room mic, and they're using a Les Paul on a Marshall amp, you probably have a pretty good idea what that's going to sound like even before even hearing a clip. I think there are certain concessions you give up by doing YouTube or going to a guitar store, but the bulk of videos can be trusted if you know you like the channel's process, right? If you know it's all paid, take it for what it is. I've also seen other reviewers that say, hey, I got paid to do this, but I don't actually like this piece of gear. You got my vote, because if they paid you to review it, you did an honest review, who can be upset by that? I mean, the manufacturer could, but as a viewer, I will trust you more because you said, hey, you didn't like it. I think there's a lot of good gear out there. It might just not be what personally fits you and your style. I think there's preferences and other things that go along with it. But again, if someone's honest about settings and if they're getting paid to do it, then it's probably worth watching the videos and trusting what they have to say. So great questions as always, guys. Keep them coming. You can leave them below. You can email me at ContactTheJay@gmail.com. As always, thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Many more videos to come. Don't miss one sub.